Hello. So we are on skill 24. Gretchen is such a good friend, and the such is in air quotes, so that means something. Just a reminder about our reading strategy. We're always going on the reading test, we're always going to answer which questions first? Lined questions. That question will tell you the line where the answer is. Then we're going to go and answer all of the what questions? Hunting questions. Hunting questions will tell you the paragraph where the answer can be found. Finally, we will answer all the inferential questions. Those are answered last. Those are the ones where you have to use your noggin. Why do we do this? Because you have 40 questions to do in 35 minutes. So you got to read quickly. On nonfiction passages, you can get away with reading the first and the last sentence of each paragraph usually. On prose, which is called fiction, not so much. Okay, so I'm asking you to take notes. The notes count as extra credit. If you're seeing it, writing it, hearing it, maybe saying it, then the more senses you use, the more of your five senses that you use, the better you will remember. So I say instead of taste, obviously, because you can't taste food, what you read. ACT Mantra 24, write this down. For questions that ask about the writer's choices or the flow of the passage, review the progression of the paragraphs. That's the order that they go in, and use process of elimination for your questions. So remember, there's usually two bad answers, a good answer, and a better answer. So let's go to this prose piece. I'll turn my page to the right page. Okay. Gretchen is such a good friend. In terms of developing the narrative, the third and fourth paragraphs, lines 14 through 25, primarily serve to do what? And then number 2, the author italicizes the word even in line 12 to mostly emphasize what. And so we are definitely starting with number 2 because that's a lined question. The passage opens up by posing the questions that the passage ponders, debates, answers, or restates. So we're going to need to look in the first and last paragraph. So that's a hunting question. And in terms of passage as a whole, the main function of the final paragraph is to and so that's probably a hunting question because it tells us the paragraph. We might have to infer something too. Okay, so let's do number 2 first. The author italicizes the word even in the lines 12 to most likely emphasize. And this is a prose fiction. The passage is adapted from the novel Down by the River Bend by David Rice. Now, I told you that you couldn't always do this, jumping around on prose fiction, but we're going to try it. Okay, so line 12 even has air quotes. Let's start with paragraph 2. I didn't wholeheartedly believe that we'd ever find Dan, but on the third day we set out from the hostel in the direction of the opera house and its grand surroundings. It was Easter Day, and even the Amazon tour agencies appeared to be closed. The agencies kept unpredictable hours. Some people might want to take tours on a holiday. He's concerned about the credibility of the agency's policies, or if the tour companies were closed, then every business would be closed. What sounds best to you? If you answered J, you are correct. Okay, now it says in lines 14 through 25. And, this bold introduction didn't give us any background. So I'm not sure if this is going to be confusing to you or not. I know what this story is about, and if I find that it will be, I'll just go and read it all. 14 through 25, does it describe the details of the opera house and lend setting to the story? That should be feeling of repetition and monotony in the search for Dan. Monotony is like do something over and over. C, portray the soldier in order to establish the contrast between him and Dan. Or D, depict the economic conditions of the Opera House district, how they were doing financially or with money. Okay, 14 through 25. So that's going to be the third and fourth paragraphs. Circling around and around the opera, slipping on the slick cobblestones and looking into the shuttered up bars and barbecue restaurants, we passed a soldier more than once as he made rounds from his kiosk to the cathedral across from the opera and back. Each time he saw us, he asked what we were doing, and Jules replied that we were looking for our friend. He didn't seem to think that was too good an idea, but he didn't say anything. He just nodded and resolved to ask the same question the next time he saw us. What do you think? Sounds like B, doesn't it? Give a feeling of repetition and monotony. So this friend Dan is missing, is what's going on. Okay. This is asking us that the question the passage opens by asking a question. Does it ponder, debate, answer, or restate? So ponder means to think, wonder. Debate means to go back and forth. Answer means to obviously give an answer, and restate would be that you would say it again, which probably wouldn't happen in the first sentence. But would we find Dan? So are they wondering, debating, answering, or restating? I would go with A, ponders. In terms of the passage as a whole, the main function of the paragraph is to, and that when they say in the final paragraph, they're talking about that last paragraph. So their friend Dan has been lost and they're on vacation. I'm just going to read it all, starting with on our way. On our way back to the hostel, having more or less given up, we were tired and noticed a small bakery that looked open. Just as it was starting to downpour, we ducked under the awning and went inside. On the far right side, under a TV in a wire cage, sat Dan at a table with what looked like that family that owned the bakery. His bags piled up around his feet. He wore his winter jacket, and it looked oddly appropriate, soaked with tropical rain. The family smiled and brought us a platter of cinnamon rolls, pulling up 2 extra chairs. So they're like on a patio. And the first question says, would we find Dan? Did they find Dan? They did find Dan. So then the answer would be F. They detail the unexpected way they found Dan. They had given up. They walked by a hostel, is what it says, and there he was. Voila! So go ahead, turn in your notes for extra credit, turn in the answers for this assignment, and then do the bonus if there is one. And there will be 1 exit ticket this week, all due by the end of the week. And what was I going to say? I don't know. Anyhow, I hope you're doing well, and I will be online if you're watching this during the quarantine. I will be online doing virtual office hours from Monday through Friday from 12 till 2. So see you then.